So, this will be a video covering several different things all at once. And I realize the Emily Armstrong story is still hot, so I will cover that first. And I realize the other topics may bore people or feel a little bit like insider baseball. I understand all that. But I think they're worth noting because there is a serious debate going on. But you may not be aware of it because it's a little dark and obscure. So let's get through with the update on Emily and what we definitely know about her and what we don't know. So some people are already claiming she's a very hardcore Scientologist. She was in Scientology for a very long time. She was at the so-called ranch, which is this very ugly kind of compound that Scientology sent a lot of children and raised them in a very brutal fashion. As far as I know, this is all still very speculative. We do know some things. It appears that her mother is very much in Scientology. She did work for a kind of propaganda magazine called Freedom, and that she's been with the church for decades and decades. It does appear that Emily and some of her family has definitely been involved in Scientology for a very, very long time. Now, does she really even believe Scientology anymore? Is she just kind of a passive member, like subsidizing going to events, but not really caring about it? Again, that's a possibility. Some church members remain in the church, but they don't really believe or care about it anymore because they realize if I leave and criticize the church, it will go bat crazy and try to discredit them and destroy them. So it's a very touchy, weird situation. On the one hand, Emily is a bit of a victim. That is true. On the other hand, by remaining in the church and not criticizing, she's sort of making a lot of people vulnerable. So it's a very delicate issue either way. We definitely know that Lincoln Park is aware of Scientology. How could they not be? And they definitely now are aware that Emily is a Scientologist. So I prefer to remain a little bit calm and wait to see what happens. But definitely some of the story that the band and Emily is trying to trot out that, well, it was only one court appearance. She barely knew Danny. No, Lincoln Park and her have gone back a few years. So it would be stunning if she never mentioned or they never came across information that say, she's in Scientology. And they have worked with other Scientologists. So this is not as shocking as people think it is. Again, Scientology people are very normal in Hollywood. You're going to run across them. So this idea that how could they possibly know is a little bit too naive. That said, we do need more time, process more details. And again, I listened to the new music. It appears very strong. So she's definitely very talented. She's not Chester, of course, but again, that will be a different conversation, whether the fandom will even embrace her as a musician. But as a Scientologist, yeah, it's a very difficult question mark. But now let's get on to me and Aaron Smith-Levin and this kind of civil war that's been occurring in SPTV. And I realize some people are new subscribers. They have no clue who Aaron is. They have no clue who I am. What is an SPBB? What is going on here? Well, good or bad, some of Aaron's recent videos have gotten a lot of traction covering the Lincoln Park scandal, I guess. I'm just here to do fair warning about his content and clarify the content I do. Now, I've covered in the past mainly Game of Thrones, Dune, fantasy content, but I always try to do some political, cultural work, kind of commenting on the fandom as a whole and calling out where it is there, fascism, racism, and other suspicious activity. I am generally a kind of libertarian, free ideas kind of person, I think. Listen, even if it's a bad idea, if it's your thing, fine. I don't necessarily agree, whatever it is, Satanism or Scientology, as long as you are not committing these massive criminal conspiracies, which the Satanists and Scientologists and other cults do, I don't really have a problem. So if you're an independent Scientologist and you want to pray to Elron and the volcanoes or whatever, I really just don't care. The real issue is bringing down an organization run by David Miscavige, who is quite easily, I'm not exaggerating, one of the most evil dictators since Hitler. He is genuinely megalomaniacal, just evil, and there's very credible evidence that he has murdered people. It's YouTube, I have to say, allegedly, including people in his own family. Granted, an in-law, but still family. So this guy is major hardcore evil, and I think that's the dilemma with dealing Aaron Smith-Levin and his very big channel growing up in Scientology, because for the last couple of years, if you were trying to get some information on Scientology, his channel would pop up. And I can't lie, I was once a very big fan. I put up some embarrassing comments. If you go to his older videos, yep, that is me. And I am going cuckoo crazy saying, I love you, Aarons. You are the most beautiful blue panda. Oh my God, you are exposing Scientology. And like many people, the last year has been an incredible journey because a lot of crimes and scandals that Aaron has been linked to, and they are relevant to this issue, have come out. I don't think good faith, if I want to fight Scientology, I can stay silent. Now, Aaron, of course, is trying to style this as a lot of drama, jealousy, and it's not even helping the fight against Scientology. So let me allow him
If
to
we
speak
say
for
that what
himself.
we're trying to do is to get the word out as far and wide as possible about Scientology's abusive policies and practices, how they destroy families, how they abuse the elderly, how they abuse children, how they're not a real religion, how they, the tax exempt status issue. If that's what we're trying to do, then we are handicapping ourselves in that goal if we keep doing content about each other.
Well, all I can say is that is a massive lie. He is correct that if we just do content that is too insider baseball, talking about Mike Rinder and him and all their going ons, beyond a certain point, it will get like navel glazing and will not help the movement. But that's not why he put out the video. That's not what's going on. What he's worried about is that creators keep exposing him. And what is there to expose? Oh, there is a whole lot. Aaron has many male victims, many female victims, many family victims. The guy is just an all around predator. He has a very dark, ugly past and a very dark, ugly present. I've already done a number of videos on this. You can Google it in 2 seconds. I'm only going to briefly touch upon some of the more major problems. And again, to be fair, this one does not directly involve Aaron. He is not technically the guilty party, but he's not totally innocent as he keeps trying to promote himself. So, what happened? Well, Aaron had this friend, Louis Repetto. And again, this came out only recently, a couple months ago, but apparently Louis Repetto, behind the scenes, right, he put himself out as an activist as well, was basically targeting and abusing several different women. And again, at this point, the victim count is over 20 women. Dozens of women have been victimized. They're filing police reports trying to find him. He used to have an active channel, but apparently it's been destroyed. All the content is gone. Where is he? We don't know. But officially now, a lot of women are filing police reports. Now, how much did Aaron know about this? We don't know. But we do know he was aware of some of it. So he's not totally ignorant either. And in fact, from his own testimony, he and Lewis go way back in Scientology. They go back decades as friends.
Yes, but I brought him up a few times in this stream already. The person formerly known to me as Louis Repetto, who now goes in the stream as sometimes Lou Ray, sometimes Scientology Audit St. Louis. Where are you at, Lou? Are you still here? Here he is. Here he is. Grant Cardone going to be using HNL. Next, St. Louis Scientology Audit is a former SEERG member that I worked with.
And the content putting up by the J channel is very good. I would recommend subscribing to it just from an editing standpoint. Very well done videos. Not shockingly, when Aaron said, I'm getting tired of these creators commenting on other creators, he deliberately named Apostate Alex. Now, why did he do that? Because Apostate Alex has a moderator, and that is that person. So that clip you saw, that's their moderator, right? So basically, Aaron is telling Apostate Alex, please silence this person. Please silence this channel. I don't want to hear about this person anymore. Why? Because the person is exposing Aaron's crimes and Lewis's crimes. Now, you might think to yourself, well, we're in the anti-Scientology movement. Aren't we here to expose the evil of the church? Right? It doesn't matter if you're an ex-member. If you're pulling off some Scientology stuff that's very vicious and ugly, which I think basically Aaron is doing, right? That's kind of a big joke in the community that we've gone from L. Ron to AA Ron. And that used to be kind of a silly joke that, yeah, his name is very similar to L. Ron Hubbard, but now it's become less of a funny joke and more like a tragic, ugly comedy joke. It's like, oh my God. It does appear that Aaron is kind of running a cult through his channel, and he's victimized a lot of people, including a lot of women, and he doesn't care. And apparently his friends are doing it too. And he's getting all kinds of mad that people keep exposing these crimes. And it's like, well, wait, what are you doing here? Like in these videos with Linkin Park, I admit, I only saw like 3/4 of 2 of the videos because after a while I get a little tired of his hypocrisy. And really, what did he bring to the table? Just a lot of rumors. He's saying, guys, I talked out to my friends and they're telling me, oh my God, Emily is definitely in the church. She's definitely churchy. Anything more? And he keeps promoting himself in the quote, Jane Does. And we'll put aside that they all have their own very murky, tricky history with Scientology. They're also not the brave, heroic anti-Scientology fighters they put themselves out as. You're on YouTube. A lot of propaganda is going to get delivered to you. And Aaron wants to make a good living from YouTube. I want to make a good living from YouTube. That's fine. The relevant point here is he's not what he says he is as this kind of hardcore anti-Scientologist. He's just kind of opportunistic. He's doing anti-Scientology content to make money. Fine, I'm doing it to make money. I'm not making that much money. Technically, I've not made a single dime from YouTube, but that's another story. Again, to some extent, we're both corrupt. I guess the best I can say for my channel is, and this is where Aaron has done us a service, is that I am way more accurate and way more good faith than he is, whereas a lot of his stuff is just filled with errors and mistakes. And again, I can't claim to be innocent. I was kind of aware of this even when I did like the channel, saying, wait, that's not exactly what happened, or you're mixing a lot of stuff up. It's like, this is not a very strong video. But I thought to myself, well, maybe Aaron is just getting excited. Hopefully he'll calm down and be more accurate and more mature. And after exposing all these crimes and scandals, he hasn't really apologized. He's not really reforming himself. He's basically just moving on to a new set of victims. And you can definitely be sure that now he's gotten traction from these Linkin Park videos. He's going to get some new fans, and he's going to do the same thing all over again. He's going to gaslight them. He's going to try to brainwash them. And listen, I cannot say with any confidence that a very ugly scenario could happen where just good faith, a female Linkin Park fan is going to reach out to him, and Aaron is just going to do the same old tricks because he's done it before. He took a fan of his in Los Angeles during the Danny Masterson trial, and he has these very contradictory stories. He's saying on the one hand, he thought she was incredibly crazy and mentally ill and still had a relationship with her while being married. They might think, okay, that's just questionable romantic behavior. But no, he's also asserting that it was an OSA operation. For those who don't know, OSA is the equivalent of CIA in Scientology. It's this very large propaganda spy network that they have. So, well, which is it? Are you saying she's an OSA spy or she's mentally ill? Either way, that's really stupid and crazy. Why would you get romantically involved either with a mentally ill woman and or an OSA spy? That just sounds like incredibly dangerous, incredibly stupid, not good judgment at all. And then what ended up happening? Well, Juliana and her got into a fight in a hotel room, and this is on tape. This has been captured on camera, where he tried to take her camera away so she wouldn't film him being abusive. And we even have public knowledge of this because they went out in public. They were walking down the street. And to be fair, Juliana was, I guess, trying to embrace him. He got really angry, threw her off. She hit a wall and was bleeding, and Aaron left her. That's right. He straight up just left a victim who was bleeding. And then later, when he got caught, he tried to gaslight her when saying, oh, she just crazies. Oh my God, it's crazy. It's an OSHA operation against. I'm just a victim again. And this is not the only case. There have been several female victims with similar stories. So after a while, it gets a little tiresome. And again, maybe nothing will happen. Maybe Aaron has learned his lesson, but I'm fearful that he's not just getting new subscribers. He's just getting a new set of victims, and he's going to do the same thing all over again. At this point, he's running a fake charity. He often distorts his history. And this is what I think is more brutally the really difficult thing I can't accept about him is he deliberately ignores or tries to suppress a lot of victims of Scientology who are much more victimized than even the Bixlers. There's no doubt that Bixler is a victim of Danny Masterson, but it would shock you to believe there are people who, again, I have to say this, allegedly were murdered by this cult. Aaron really doesn't pay attention to their cases. He doesn't care because he's not going to benefit. He only is helping the Bixlers because the Bixlers are with him, vendetta, yes, with Scientology, but also some of Aaron's former friends. So at this point, apparently they don't like Mike Rinder, they don't like Tony Ortega, and so on and so forth. So they're joining him in their mutual agenda against enemies. What does this have to do with fighting Scientology? It has nothing to do with fighting Scientology. It's just another private vendetta, and that's because they have their own scandals to deal with. And I can't claim to be the best anti-Scientology fighter, but I just don't see how Aaron finding new victims to scam and possibly hurt in real life physically is going to help the cause. I just don't. So all I can say is I'm going to be changing the content slightly. If you're an old subscriber, or even frankly a new recent subscriber, you're not really going to see any change. It's going to be 95% of the same stuff. But I do feel it's necessary to make some adjustment because things are getting pretty crazy out there. And I do have to forewarn people that, yes, some of these anti-Scientology channels are fine insofar as they go, but they are trying to deceive you. And there is a lot of cultish practices that are happening behind the scenes, and it should be called out because it's just not helpful. Aaron running his own cult, if that's what he wants to do, that is fine. He has the freedom to do that. But I just want to fair warn people, it is a cult, and it's a very dangerous cult at that. So go in with eyes open because he will victimize you. He just will. That's just been his pattern, unfortunately.